Yo, what is up guys, it was IzuKage here with the finale of what if Naruto could copy any Kekkei Genkai. So if you guys didn't know, I started up a new channel, Anime Kage. I should be posting the first video either today or tomorrow, but knowing me, it'll probably be tomorrow, but we'll see. So without any further ado, I hope you guys are going to enjoy the what if. So we start off in the Hokage office. Kakashi is getting used to his new position when Naruto walked in and said, "Don't get too comfortable, you're just keeping the seat warm for me." Kakashi did a sarcastic haha and said, "Enough with the jokes, come down to the cellar." So Naruto and Kakashi walked down to the basement of the mansion, and there were two rooms specially made. The doors were lined with seals so strong a Biju couldn't bust through, and inside were seals inside the walls, cutting off any person in the room's chakra. So in one cell, Naruto activated his Mangekyo, then his Kamui, releasing Danzo. Danzo just fell headfirst onto the ground, and as he was released, he looked around wondering, if he was finally out of that hell. And when he saw Naruto, he immediately tries attacking him with his Hashirama cell arm. But he was in the room, so he couldn't mold his chakra to perform any jutsu. And Danzo hasn't eaten all the time he was in the Kamui dimension, so he's weakened and from that as well. So they shut the iron door and go over to the next room, right in front of it, and Naruto releases Hiruzen. Hiruzen saw Kakashi in the Hokage outfit and, he smirks and said, "So they replaced me that quickly, huh? What a shame." But Naruto didn't care for what he had to say and shut the door. So back in Kakashi's office, Kakashi told Naruto that they locked up Gaara in a cell, and Naruto was going to task Naruto to bring him back to the sand, but he wanted to show Naruto something, or show Naruto someone. So as he says that, Yamato walks into the Hokage office, and Naruto, he was confused like who this guy was. He's never seen him before. So Kakashi introduces him and says this is Yamato, the only person to have a wood style. And Naruto, he got a thought in his head. He's like, "Oh, Kakashi, I think me and you are on the same wavelength right now." And so Kakashi says, "Yamato, show Naruto your wood style." And he does, and as Naruto sees it, he just sprouts like some wood out of the palm of his hand. And as Naruto sees it, he immediately starts having headaches, and it's like he can take the power in, but he has to lose something at the same time. So Naruto was thinking about all the abilities he has and says, "Ice gotta go." So he replaces ice for the wood, and after he gets it, Yamato kind of shows him like how to use it, things like that. And so Naruto can use that, and you don't have to use hand signs, but for a larger jutsu that require a large amount of chakra, you do. So with this newly acquired power, Naruto heads over to the prison cell Gaara is being held in. He uses the wood to create a cage, like a cage to bind Gaara, and the cage acts as like a chakra absorbent as well, so he can't use the sand to release himself. So Naruto puts Gaara on his back and he heads out for the sand. It would take 3 days, so Naruto is hopping on trees and he has to rest at night. So the first night, Naruto tries to talk to Gaara and asks him, why he would attack innocent people, but he wouldn't talk. So Naruto just drops Gaara and goes out to hunt for fish. And when Naruto activates his Sharingan, he can perceive the fish slow enough to just reach in and grab them. So he grabs about 4 and goes back to the camp, and when he gets back, Gaara is just staring into space, reflecting on life, I guess. But Naruto doesn't bother him and just goes over to cook the fish on a campfire. He just gathers up some sticks and uses a fireball jutsu and poof. So after he cooks it, he offers Gaara a fish, but he gets no response. So Naruto just says whatever, eats all 4 and goes to bed. So back at the Leaf Village, it's nighttime and Mikula has been training on the logs. He was pissed that Jiraiya just left without saying anything, and now that damn Kakashi's the Hokage, so he keeps punching the wood and punching it, and he punches it so hard it just breaks right through. And he just stands over breathing heavily and begins walking back home. He was about to leave the forest when he heard a twig break behind him, and he quickly turned around and said, "Who's there?" But it was silent. He was now breathing heavily but got a hold of his nerves and started walking again. But from behind him a cloaked figure casted a genjutsu, and Mikula was none the wiser. This man placed chakra restricting seals on him and tightened the 9-tailed seal using the 5-pronged seal. So, back with Naruto, who was asleep, Gaara was still thinking about everything what happened in the leaf and how could he? Why did he? Gaara had all the questions but no answers. So while staring up at the moon, Gaara saw a dark figure out of the corner of his eye, and he turned to try and see who it was, but nothing was there. Gaara just thought it was maybe a bird or some other type of animal, so he just shuts his eyes and tries getting back to sleep. A few seconds pass and he's beginning to hear weird sounds. So when he opens his eyes, the moon was gone. The last time he shut them, like a few seconds ago, it was directly overhead. And Gaara realized there's literally someone standing over him and 2 purple eyes were staring back at him. Gaara screamed to try and wake Naruto up, but the man covered his mouth. And luckily Naruto did hear, and when he got up, he slowly got up. He's still tired, and the fire was out, so it was hard to see anything. And he looked to where he last saw Gaara, and he was being carried away by someone. And Naruto, without any time to think, he just rushed after him. And as he was about to activate his Mangekyo to try and use it to save Gaara, the man turned around and said, "Almighty push," and a massive force sent Naruto back into the forest and slamming into a tree. Naruto groaned and held his chest, checking if he was okay, and he was. So he got up and tried tracking them down, even using his Byakugan, but he couldn't see anyone. They were gone. And he was angry. He couldn't save Gaara and just punch the tree. He was angry mainly because, Temari, she would be mad. So he activated his Mangekyo and Kamui'd back to the village. And the reason why he didn't just do that in the first place to get to the sand is because he has to have seen the place before to Kamui there. So Naruto gets to the village and Kakashi, he's still up doing paperwork, Hokage life. So he tells him about what happened with Gaara and how someone just yoinked Gaara. So Kakashi, hearing this, already has a plan in place. He summons his Ninken, or ninja dogs, and Naruto takes out a piece of fabric from Gaara's clothing. How or why he has it, I don't know, you tell me. But yeah, so Pakun gets the scent and starts running with Naruto following behind him. And Kakashi did want to go, but it wouldn't be the best decision since the Leaf needs him right now. So he sends another team with Naruto to find Gaara. Team Guy, but without Lee since, his leg is still messed up. So, Team Guy along with Naruto follow Pakun out of the village and, but after 2 hours they need to rest. It's still nighttime, it's around 2 in the morning, so they were all tired. So as soon as they got up, they were back to the hunt. And 2 days of travel later, and Pakun found a giant boulder with tags around it, blocking a cave entrance. Luckily, Guy knew these tags and explained how they needed to find the other tags in the nearby forest to rip them off, and they have to do it all at the same time. So Guy and his team were ready to take care of it, but Naruto had a plan instead. He created clones and they were all using their Byakugan to find the tags. And when they ripped them off all at the same time, the copies that were created of them were as strong as the clones. So they only needed one punch to destroy, like clones usually are. So with that, Team Guy and Naruto head into the cave. After Guy does a dynamic entry and just busts through the rock. So they head into the cave and it was just dark. But as the sun shined into the cave, Naruto saw nothing. And he was confused, but mostly worried. So he asked Pakun what happened, and he didn't know. Like, this is where the scent led. And Naruto just got frustrated, but maintained his cool. So he was ready to head back to the village, but Guy, started shushing everyone, like be quiet. So he could hear something, but from where? So he focused, and he said, "Below us." He shouted at Tenten to scatter her paper bombs and set them off. So she did, and when it exploded, the floor caved in to a basement of sorts, and the ghetto statue was in the corner of the room. From behind him, Naruto heard wings flapping, so he turned around and a white bird was flying towards them. He didn't know what it was, but he wasn't going to take the chance, so before it could get any close, he threw a kunai at it and it exploded. Seeing this, everyone went on guard, and then more came flying, surrounding them. So Neji gathered everyone together and used rotation as a barrier, and as all the birds hit it, they exploded, but no one on the inside was injured. So while Neji was protecting, Naruto was looking for where they were coming from, and he saw another entrance in the walls. Naruto told Neji to drop the rotation wheel quick, and he did, and Naruto did a series of hand signs and said lightning surge, and a wave of lightning chakra filled the room, and seconds later a cry from someone could be heard. And all the clay birds were starting to fall apart, so Naruto ran to where he heard the screaming was coming from, and Deidara was on the floor just fried. And Naruto called over Team Guy and asked, what do they do with him? And Guy said, "We obviously need to kill him, but where's Gaara's body?" Naruto completely forgot that's what they were even there for. He was so caught up in the fight. So he began looking around, and that's when he found Gaara sitting lifeless behind Deidara. And Naruto started gritting his teeth in anger. It's not that he had personal relations with Gaara, but the whole Temari thing. So yeah, he is angry, and he wants to have revenge. So he picks up Gaara, and Guy was ready to finish Deidara off, but Deidara opened his eyes, and Guy was surprised. He thought he was out cold, and Deidara smirked and said, "If I go down, you're coming with me." And his body began to expand like a balloon, and Neji, using his Byakugan, saw Deidara was going to use his entire body as an explosive, and Naruto quickly grabbed hold of Guy, Tenten, and Neji, and right before the explosion went off, they went into, he used Kamui and got them out of there, and he transported them outside the cave, out of the range of the explosion. And once they were out, they watched as the entire mountain above caved in, and just blew up in a massive explosion. So after seeing that, they weren't gonna stick around and see if anyone else was close, so they started heading towards the sand. So let's switch to Kakashi back at the Leaf. He's chilling in his office when a Jonin rushes in, damn near bursting down the door with important news. Kakashi asks, what is it? And he explained that they've been receiving message from the Lightning and Mist village that their Jinchuriki have gone missing. Kakashi was starting to get worried because, remember this is all happening early, so they have no idea what the Akatsuki even is. And since it's early, some of the members actually haven't joined the Akatsuki, like Sasori, Hidan, and Kakuzu. So Kakashi immediately sends out someone to find Mikula because, he knows that the Nine-Tails chakra has been split. So if they were going to go for the Leafs and Jinchuriki, it would either be Naruto, who is pretty safe, he has Guy there, and, Naruto's own abilities, or they would go for Mikula. So he sent an Ambu team to search for him, and it was 3 members, and they searched for the entire day, but no one could find him. They searched houses, they searched almost every inch of the village, but no, he couldn't be found anywhere. So that's when Kakashi began to become really concerned. So he sends a messenger bird to the sand, so hopefully Naruto will get the message and, if he's there. So back with Naruto, Guy, and the rest of the team, Guy, they arrive at the sand, and the guards there, they stop them, but once they see Gaara, they let them in because it's the Leaf, and they're allies except for the whole like shooting exam things, but we don't care about that. So they get let in and head towards the hospital, and while they were finding a room for Gaara, they run into Lady Chiyo. And Lady Chiyo, seeing Gaara, was like, she couldn't fathom words because this death, quote unquote, reminds her of Sasori, because she thinks he's dead also. So in this, I'd say Lady Chiyo also gives her life to revive Gaara. I don't really see any reason why. But also, while Naruto is there in the sand, he meets Temari. And Naruto didn't know how to face Temari because at this point, Lady Chiyo hasn't done her whole revival thing yet. So he's like, he can't look Temari in the eye. It's like he's done her wrong or disappointed her. But when Temari sees Naruto, she immediately goes to hug him because he brought Gaara back. He may not be in one piece or even alive, but he's back. So Temari was really happy either ways. So she hugged Naruto, who was really surprised at this, but he embraced her as well. So while Naruto was in this moment of just happiness, he sensed something was off, like the Nine Tails was speaking with him. And this was Mikula's half of the Nine Tails trying to contact Naruto. And this caused Naruto's body to tense up, and he was squeezing the heck out of Temari, and she was like, Naruto, like, I'm here. And he's like, oh, sorry. So when he backs off, he starts to think about this, and then when he gets his own room, he goes into his mindscape, and the Nine Tails spoke to him. He was telling him that his brother needs saving, and Naruto was like, why should I save him? And the Nine Tails said, well, you don't have to, but if his half dies, I go with him. And that's obviously not true. The Nine Tails is just trying to save his other half, so he's just saying whatever to get Naruto to go. And Naruto is like, okay, then why are we waiting? So he asks the Nine Tails where they are, and he sort of guides him. He just gives him like a general direction. So when night falls, Naruto goes through his sneaks around to try and get out of the village, and he does. So he gets out and starts heading towards where he's sensing his other half. Naruto follows this all the way to the border of the land of wind and the land of fire, where there's a hideout. He enters it and sees the ghetto statue with people on its fingers standing on it, and Mikula was floating in a blue orb and his energy being drained. Naruto had to think quick, and the first thing that came to him was wood style. Maybe he could absorb it, with wood style. So Naruto starts a series of hand signs, and it takes a while because this ain't no baby jutsu. So Naruto does his old hand signs for the twin wood dragon jutsu. He comes into view of everyone and slams his hand down onto the ground, and from underneath the statue, two wood dragons wrap around it like snakes, squeezing it enough to crack it, and these cracks release the chakra, and the wood style starts absorbing it. The 5 Akatsuki members present are Pain, Itachi, Deidara, because he survived the same way he did in canon because it was a clone, Toby, and Konan. So they stopped the extraction so no more chakra would be going into the statue, but the dragons were still absorbing what was there from the previous extraction, from the previous Jinchuriki. So Pain was the first to respond. He jumped down to Naruto trying to stop him from absorbing the chakra, but without any hand signs, a wall of wood just came out of the ground and started forming around Naruto, turning into a dome, which none of Pain's repulsive or attractive forces worked on. So in no time, Naruto finished absorbing these chakras, and just because, I want to make him OP, bro. It's the finale. So he looks up and sees Pain's Rinnegan. But with this much power flowing through him, he was able to fuse the Sharingan with the Rinnegan and get the ultimate dojutsu, the Rinne Sharingan. Naruto's power was immense, and the skeletal structure of the Susanoo started forming around him. And it was pure white. The bones were covered with muscles, then the armor appeared, and it grew legs. And all the Akatsuki members were frozen as this power eclipsed any of theirs or all of theirs combined. So Naruto's Susanoo opened its palm and a white orb began to form, growing larger and larger, and was shot towards these Akatsuki members, and on impact, it disintegrated them out of existence. But surprisingly, most of the surrounding terrain wasn't destroyed, and this ended up not affecting the Geto statue or Mikula, like passed out nearby. So Naruto shrank down and grabbed Mikula and teleported to the Hokage mansion. He appeared in front of Kakashi with Mikula and just fell over onto the ground completely exhausted. Fast forward a week and Naruto was waking up in the hospital room. He looked around and next to him he saw Temari peeling some apples. Don't ask me why, I just remember a scene where Sakura was doing the same thing. And if anyone remembers that, comment down below, but yeah, it just came to me. But anyway, she sees Naruto wakes up and all the apples, like she drops all of those and rushes in to hug him. Naruto was still in pain and this was making it worse, but he didn't care. He didn't want her to let him go. And when she released the hug, he wrapped around her even more, squeezing her. But finally, Kakashi walked in and he said, "Okay, lovebirds, you can do that somewhere else. Naruto, I need to speak with you alone." Temari didn't really object because this is the Hokage, so you can't really go against the Hokage, so she just left. And Kakashi said, "Naruto, how did you manage to get Mikula back? Jiraiya was onto some leads about these cloaked men, but he didn't have any solid intel, but what he did have were they were all S-rank ninja, and if there was a class above S ranks, like a member would fall there." Naruto then activated his Rinne Sharingan and this completely blew Kakashi back. This was the last thing he expected, but you know, it's Naruto, so it wasn't hard to believe. So Kakashi got up and said, "Well, seems like the Hokage seat is yours, but not just yet. You're not even of age, so you have some waiting to do, but use your time wisely." So time skip 4 years and Naruto is 20 years old and he has married Temari and already has a kid, and today is the day that Naruto will be made Hokage. Over these 4 years, the people of the village were also told of Naruto's contribution to the Leaf and how he basically saved everyone. I mean, the other nations are pissed that the Leaf is the only village left with their Jinchuriki, but sucks to suck. So while Naruto is being given the Hokage title at the top of the Hokage mansion, some pair of Sharingan are watching him from a distance, and a man says, "In this world where there is light, there are also shadows." And that is where I'm going to be leaving this series off. I want to leave it on that because, you know, maybe on a rainy day I'll bring this back, but for now this is the finale of the entire series. I really had fun making it and interacting with everyone in the comments, but all good things come to an end. So thank you guys for sticking around to the end of the video. If you liked it, like, and if you like my content in general, subscribe. And guys, look at this picture on screen right now. 35 pages, basically like 13,500 words. That's almost all the words that I've put into this series, and this is not just this series alone. This is like almost every series on my channel. So please guys, show love. I really put work into these series, so you know, so they're good for you guys. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next What If.